social media in recruiting these individuals.
Yeah, social media, through Twitter, through online forums, and these are things that intelligence agencies track on a regular basis so they can keep track of individuals, Westerners and Americans who go overseas.
He used to work at the CIA, so if someone like McCain, Douglas MacArthur McCain, if he's tweeting nice things about ISIS, people are watching that, they're checking him out to see who he is, and that's why presumably he would be put on some sort of watch list.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of forms of intelligence that are being monitored, from open source intelligence like social media to signals intelligence, imagery intelligence. The problem is there's also a lot of noise, so there might be a lot of individuals like McCain tweeting similar sympathetic messages who aren't ending up being part of the small portion of individuals who are fighting in Syria or end up being in the very radical heart of these organizations. So part of the difficulty of intelligence is separating the cases like McCain versus the sort of outer fringes of these groups.
If the U.S. is going to, the President of the United States, and we know he's weighing this option, is going to consider expanding airstrikes against ISIS targets that have been going on in Iraq right now, but going into Syria, you need really good intelligence about where to strike in Syria. You used to work at the CIA. Does the U.S. have that kind of intelligence?
Absolutely. You need really good intelligence. You need not just the imagery of the sites you want to actually hit. You need to have good signals intelligence to know that if you're targeting particular individuals, that they are where you think they are. Things can go wrong. I think the quote Secretary Hagel said the other day is intelligence is never packaged neatly with a bow. There's always going to be gaps. There's always going to be holes. And in a place like Syria, these gaps are particularly salient because we don't have a strong presence on the ground. We saw one of the gaps with the recent Special Forces raid. Intelligence is imperfect. People can move locations, sites can be changed, weapons can be moved around. So I think what you're going to see in Syria is right now you've seen the spy planes go in. They're probably collecting imagery to see if there are sites where we think we can make an impact. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a harder case than Iraq. Iraq, we've had thousands of troops on the ground for the past decade, so I'd imagine that intelligence there was a lot better for the strikes we saw, which were effective in the recent weeks, than we're going to see if we strike in Syria. So I think it's something we need to be prudent about, but I think that's what the administration is probably looking at to see how we can be most effective if and when we are to strike Syria, which it looks like we may be moving towards.
Yeah, and one of the things they have to really worry about is civilian casualties, collateral damage, as they used to call it in the military. If the U.S. is going to launch what they call precision airstrikes, there are potentially a lot of civilians who could be killed in the process, and that's a major problem for the U.S. that the President has to consider. Tara, thanks very much for joining us.